His lawyer leaned in and whispered 5 words. Just 5. And Vincent's face, that smug, self-satisfied face I had stared at across the breakfast table for 15 years, went completely white. His hands started trembling. The papers he'd been so eager to sign shook like leaves in a storm. And me, for the first time in 3 years, I smiled. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start at the beginning, because you need to understand how we got here. How a woman everyone thought had lost her mind actually played the longest, quietest game of her life. My name is Alexis Dunst. I'm 34 years old. And until 3 months ago, I was married to Vincent Mercer. 15 years of marriage. Longer than most Hollywood relationships. Longer than some small companies survive. And definitely longer than my patience should have lasted. I met Vincent when I was 17. I had just graduated high school early and taken a job as a file clerk at Henderson and Price law firm. Minimum wage, maximum paper cuts, but it was mine. By 18, I'd worked my way up to legal assistant. I was good with details, good with numbers, good at keeping my mouth shut and my eyes open. Vincent was 24 when we met at a client event. Charming, ambitious, always talking about his future real estate empire. He spoke about success like it was already waiting for him. All he needed was someone to help him organize the paperwork. That someone became me. We got married when I was 19. Tyler was born when I was 20. And when Vincent's business started growing a few years later, he asked me to quit the firm and work for him full-time. He needed someone he trusted, someone to manage the books, coordinate contractors, handle clients, run the office. So I became his everything: bookkeeper, manager, marketing coordinator, event planner, all unpaid. My official title was wife. My real job was building Vincent's life. For 11 years, I helped grow that business. And for 11 years, at every celebration and award dinner, I was introduced the same way. This is Alexis, my wife. Not partner, not manager, just wife. Somewhere along the way, things started changing. Vincent stopped asking my opinion, stopped coming home on time, started criticizing little things, the way I dressed, the food I cooked, even my ambition, which was funny, considering I was running his entire company behind the scenes. Then 3 months ago, he came home one Tuesday evening and sat at the kitchen table. His expression wasn't sad. It wasn't guilty. It was businesslike. "I want a divorce," he said. Then he added something that still amazes me. "I want the house, the business, the cars, everything. You can keep Tyler." He said it like he was ordering food, assets for him, child for me, like our 15-year-old son was a leftover pizza. I stared at him across the table, realizing 15 years of marriage had just been reduced to a transaction. What I didn't know then was that Vincent had been planning this for months. He already had a lawyer, already had paperwork ready. He had built an exit plan while I was planning dinner. A week later, his girlfriend showed up. Brittany Sawyer, 27, worked at his company. Of course she did. Blonde highlights, perfect nails, designer yoga pants. She walked into my kitchen like she owned the place, wore my apron, used my blender. Vincent sat beside her on my couch like I had already disappeared. Then things got worse. My credit cards were canceled. The joint accounts disappeared. His mother, Lorraine, came over to help me pack. By help, I mean she sorted through my belongings, deciding what I deserved to keep. Clothes, fine. Family photos, some. Jewelry Vincent had given me, no. "Those are marital assets," Lorraine said sweetly. She packed my belongings in garbage bags, like I was trash being taken out. Everyone saw a woman whose life had just collapsed. But here's the truth. What Vincent didn't know was that I had discovered something 3 years earlier. Something buried in his financial records. And once I found it, I stopped reacting. I started preparing. It happened on a random Tuesday night. Vincent was working late, which by then was normal. I was reviewing company accounts, and I noticed a transfer, then another. Money leaving our accounts for places I didn't recognize. I started digging. By 3 in the morning, I had the full picture. And it was terrifying. Our house, 3 mortgages. Total owed, $1.1 million. Actual value, about $850,000. We were already $250,000 underwater. The business was worse. Lines of credit maxed out, back taxes, vendor debts, equipment loans, nearly $500,000, even the cars were leased. We didn't actually own anything. Total debt across everything, almost $1.9 million. We looked rich, but we were broke, completely broke. And most of the money, gone. Crypto losses, gambling. A secret apartment for another woman. Expensive watches and trips I'd never heard about. Vincent wasn't building an empire. He was building a house of cards. My first instinct was to confront him, but I knew Vincent. If I accused him, he'd manipulate the situation, turn it around, blame me, so instead I prepared. My retirement savings from my old law firm were about $180,000. My grandmother had left me $340,000 in her will, over $500,000 total, and it was legally separate property. So I created a trust fund for Tyler, untouchable. Then I documented everything, every mortgage, every loan, every hidden account, and I waited. I knew Vincent would eventually leave. Men like him always do. All I had to do was be patient. When he finally asked for the divorce, demanding everything, I almost laughed. He thought he was claiming assets. What he was really asking for was debt. When I finally showed the documents to my lawyer, Nina Castellano, she sat in silence for almost an hour. Then she looked up at me slowly. "You've known about this for 3 years?" "I was waiting," I said. Her expression changed. The pity disappeared. "What happens," she asked carefully, "when you sign everything over to him?" I smiled. "He gets the house, the business, the cars, and all the debts attached to them." Nina leaned back in her chair. "Mrs. Dunst, that might be the most patient legal strategy I've ever seen." For the next 3 months, I played my role perfectly. Broken, defeated. I asked for almost nothing in mediation, just $50,000 and shared custody of Tyler. Vincent agreed instantly. He thought I'd given up. His mother bragged to everyone. "That woman didn't even fight." Meanwhile, Vincent bought himself a new $15,000 watch to celebrate. Brittany started redecorating my house, even painted my kitchen gray. Gray. After I spent 3 weeks picking the perfect sage green. But I didn't react. I just waited. Finally, the court date arrived. The courtroom smelled like old wood and floor polish. Vincent sat confidently beside his lawyer, his watch gleaming under the lights. He looked like a man about to win everything. The judge reviewed the agreement. "Mrs. Dunst," she asked me carefully, "are you certain you want to give up all claims to these assets?" I lowered my eyes slightly. "Yes, Your Honor." The documents were passed around. Vincent signed quickly, barely reading anything. I signed slowly, enjoying every second. Then his lawyer reached the final page, the liability disclosure. I watched the man's face change. He leaned toward Vincent and whispered, "You're assuming all the debt." Vincent blinked. "What?" "The mortgages, the business loans, everything." Vincent finally looked at the numbers, and the color drained from his face. House debt, $1.1 million. Business debt, nearly $500,000. Total liability, almost $1.9 million. He shot up from his chair. "This isn't right." The judge raised an eyebrow. "Mr. Mercer, these appear to be your financial records." Vincent looked at me desperately. "You knew about this." I met his eyes calmly. "I was your bookkeeper for 11 years. His lawyer quietly handed the judge a waiver Vincent had signed, a document proving he had refused a financial audit. Judge Holden nodded once. "You assumed this risk voluntarily, Mr. Mercer." She raised the gavel. "The agreement stands." The gavel came down. Marriage dissolved. Vincent got everything he asked for, including the debt. I stood, picked up my purse and looked at him one last time. "You said you wanted everything except Tyler," I said quietly. "I gave you exactly what you asked for." Then I walked out. 3 months later, Vincent's world collapsed. Brittany left within 2 weeks. The house went into default. The business failed. Creditors started calling. He filed for bankruptcy. Meanwhile, Tyler and I moved into a small apartment. Tiny kitchen, second-hand furniture, but it was peaceful. One evening, my son looked at me and said quietly, "You knew this would happen, didn't you?" I smiled. "I just made sure you were protected." He hugged me, really hugged me, and in that moment I knew everything had been worth it, because sometimes winning isn't loud. Sometimes it's quiet, patient, and when the time finally comes, you simply let someone take exactly what they asked for, and watch them realize, "Thank you so much for watching." More of my most gripping stories are already on your screen. Click one now and don't miss the best part. You will love it. See you in the next.